Copyright disclaimer.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Bill. Today I wanted to talk about the new Miyazaki film from Studio Ghibli. The Studio Ghibli film from Miyazaki? I just wanted to give a review and some quick thoughts on Miyazaki's latest movie, The Boy and the Heron, or How Do You Live? I feel like I'm still processing it in a lot of ways, but I do want to talk about the movie, just a simple review and a little breakdown discussion. Hope you guys enjoy. Like the video, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Gaming channel in the description, Build Show Gaming, as well as my merch store. Also a link for my Thankmas fundraiser for World Central Kitchen, providing humanitarian aid for people in need. All that's in the description. Click, 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 blah, blah, blah. I guess we'll just have to find out if it's true. The Boy and the Heron, or How Do You Live, is currently being called the final Miyazaki movie, possibly even the last one from Studio Ghibli. And ironically, it's my first one seeing for the first time in theaters. It's just been on my mind, and I just want to talk about it. A lot of what I'll be talking about early on is stuff that you can see from the trailer and just some initial thoughts. I'll be vague at first and then put up a spoiler warning for those who haven't seen it. It's so interesting talking about this movie, considering how many times he's retired and how many last Miyazaki films we've gotten. If that's the case, it's an incredible way to go out. He's one of the only filmmakers who can do this. I've been looking forward to this movie so intently that I didn't even notice the very obvious setup for a your mom joke until like the 12th time I watched the trailer.
What exactly are you?
Your mother.
I've just been so engrossed in the details and the idea. After doing the video I did a little while ago where I reviewed and ranked all the movies, most of which I'd only seen for the first time, that list might have actually changed. Let me know if you want to see that. After doing my video ranking all the movies and watching most of them for the first time, I've really found a great appreciation for the work at Studio Ghibli as well as Miyazaki's films. If this is the last one, at least I got to see one for the first time in the theater without John Lasseter mansplaining to me that this movie I'm about to watch is good. I had a friend use that as an example to explain what mansplaining is to me. I can't unthink it. Originally titled How Do You Live, based off of a book by, I'm not looking at my notes, Genzaburo Yoshino. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. It's been released throughout the year overseas, internationally, and at film festivals to critical acclaim. It finally opened in the US at #1 in the box office, beating out Disney, something I find very funny considering they ended their partnership. Something bird eat mouse. Hot take. I'll be the first one to say it on the internet. You can clip it and quote me. The animation is phenomenal. I'm the first to say it. Proud to be the first to say it. Animation good. Already the trailer promised us a lot of captivating visuals as well as Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli's reputation. There's scenes in that trailer that get expanded on that are just absolute masterpieces in visual storytelling. You see glimpses in the trailer of the lead character Mahito running through smoke. Seeing that full scene play out, it's so haunting and just moving through everything like smoke in this panicked desperation. Hauntingly beautiful. It's a visual that's kind of stuck with me aggressively from this. I feel like it really does showcase and challenge the world to still push the boundaries of 2D animation. I think it's amazing what we can do in any version of animation. It was absolutely stunning, and I saw it in a very mediocre theater. I've not had a good experience in that theater. I'm so excited to watch this again at home. I did see the dub version. Yell at me in the comments all you want. I only get one shot at watching it. Shout out to the Beyonce movie. There was a Beyonce concert next door and you could hear it through the walls. And again, that's the theater's fault, not Beyonce's. I needed every advantage. I feel like it was a little oversold how non-linear it is. Maybe that's just me. And the performances are incredible. Mark Hamill, obviously. Florence Pugh did a great job. Robert Pattinson, like, holy crap, absolutely unrecognizable. And I can't wait to watch it at home, subtitled and dubbed in a more controlled environment. I'm craving a rewatch. Again, no spoilers. It does take a big shift in direction towards the end. With that information, I can't wait to rewatch it with that context and start to pick up on more pieces of that. I didn't by any means find it confusing. It just kind of left me with, is this two movies in one? And yet it still serviced a narrative. Like I said, I don't understand the complaints there. Honestly, my opinion, I feel like the visual storytelling with the narrative, I think it still tells a complete picture. I just feel like there was a big chunk that I wasn't paying attention to because I didn't think the movie was going to go in that direction. So I'm looking forward to rewatching it with that context. And speaking of the details, like big and small, there's so much to take in and digest. There was a lot that like connected with me in a very, it's I guess tragically relatable would be how I would describe it. It really takes its time to talk about not only grief and change, PTSD, but also then the existential questions that not even Miyazaki himself can answer, and yet poses that question to us. Literally the original title, How Do You Live? What do you do with your life? What choices do we make? Why do we make them? Seeing these characters react in such an organic way, especially at the beginning. It follows the young boy Mahito, who loses his mother in a fire, and his father remarries his late wife's sister. I tried looking into that and got confused. His dad, I think this is the hardest part for me to wrap my mind around. His dad marries his late wife's sister. Literally, there's a line where Mahito says she looks just like mom. It's obviously affecting him. It kind of confused me on whether or not they were related. We open on the event that cost the life of Mahito's mother. There was a fire at a hospital. His mother was there. He was late to joining the responders to the fire because he had to change out of his pajamas. And it's one of those little details as it sets you up to explore grief and the impact events have on our lives. We also see how that impacts him through his PTSD. After that opening scene, we see that he's always kind of dressed, ready to go. I found that really interesting. We then get visuals later of him standing in a door frame while people are going past him. Now he is immobile and the world is moving around him. I loved taking those moments to address grief and loss and that profound impact all of that can have on him, as well as Natsuko, his aunt turned stepmom. The relationship being complicated to illustrate aside, his late mom's sister is also struggling with the loss of a sibling, struggling to find that balance between stepping up as a new guardian and not overstepping the memory of his mother or her new husband's late wife, and suddenly becoming a mother of two. She is pregnant. Everyone is grieving, everyone is adjusting. Stepmom's got a baby on the way, and that's when we start to see the existential questions of life and death, and it leaves us wondering things that nobody, not even Miyazaki himself, can answer. And there's something about the uncertainty throughout the movie, and especially towards the end, that I feel like is very purposeful. As hard as it is to contextualize that, I feel like it leaves you asking the right questions if you want to. I disagree strongly with the criticism of the narrative being too loose. Despite the focus shifting around a lot towards the end, I feel like it still told a very linear story, at least a digestible or palatable one. And again, I feel like a lot of the heavy lifting does come from the visuals and especially the music. The music, that score, it's ironic, like seeing how many comparisons have been made to like Zelda Breath of the Wild and Ghibli movies. Now here I am making comparison in reverse. The music is very fractured. It's very piano forward. There's times where you feel the broken world in the disconnected notes, whether it's a couple of simple notes, a chord or two, and it really makes moments stand out. Moments where people are trying to connect those notes into chords, times where the chord stands alone, a complex feeling that's still isolated. Again, it makes me think of the score of Breath of the Wild and that broken world with those little fragments of memory or hope or feeling. I loved it so much. It also is utilized in a great way to highlight moments where a character is triggered by something in the setting or an interaction, both in the realistic moments and the whimsical magic, which I felt like just synthesized so well together. The Heron flying mysteriously close to Mahito when he's first arriving at the new house, and then eventually speaking to him like we hear in the trailer. He promises Mahito if he follows him to a tower, he can find and save his mother. I even did it just that mother. It's almost like Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven in a sense, Nevermore, but instead it's mocking him about grieving his mother, as the Heron is also promising Mahito, if you follow me, you can find and save your mother. It just starts to ramp up so interestingly, and as he finds ways to fight or hurt the Heron, you can see how he's being motivated by anger. He gives himself a wound to his head that leaves this scar, a very layered moment, and it comes back in such beautiful and interesting, intricate ways. I'm being vague and light because of YouTube. Like and subscribe, ring the bell. He's just staying in this house, and the Heron is relentlessly mocking him, literally while he's trying to heal from the wound on his head. He starts to plan ways to fight the Heron, and in doing so, he's like taking things, damaging the house. He's neglecting the relationships around him. His stepmother is trying to like give him space, but also try to make him feel included. You know, she's trying to communicate and be vocal when she wants him around. And you see that disconnect, and you also see the consequence of those actions and that choice. His focus isn't present, it's out there. It's all attached to the Heron. And as he's focusing so much on the Heron, he sees his stepmother walk out into the woods. He's heard stories about how people have gotten missing in the woods in the past. There's a mysterious tower that was built out in the woods, and it acts as a portal to the magical world, to the whimsy, the way of spirits. For the sake of his dad, Mahito goes out into the woods to chase down the Heron and find his stepmother, aunt, and bring her back. I think the narrative makes more sense than people are giving it credit for online. Maybe it's because of the video I made about all the Studio Ghibli movies and the way that I watch them and watching them all so close to each other. All of them kind of have references and Easter eggs forward in time, back in time. Literally, The Wind Rises opens with a plane that looks like the Heron. It's almost like it's all helmed by the same dude who's experienced all these certain things and has a specific style and things that he's interested in. I didn't find it distracting. Remember to like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'm going to get into some more details, so spoiler warning ahead. I hope this information helped you make a decision if you were on the fence or whether you're going to go see it in theaters or wait or not see it, whatever. Let me know in the comments. Now I'm going to get a little more specific, so spoilers. We've had so many multiverse stories and movies lately, and I feel like this was the best utilization of it because it felt so in the background. I feel like the allegory was strong enough to the point where if you didn't notice all the other Ghibli world nods throughout it, I feel like it still works on its own. It's an interesting shift in focus, and I think it's to observe the story that we just watched with us, as well as an observation of creating and audience reception, legacy, and what to do next. Mark Hamill's character, the great uncle, is definitely a stand-in for Miyazaki. Again, I'm the first one to say that on the internet, I'm sure. Like, it's just when you see like the building blocks and the shapes, and he talks about how you need to kind of keep it moving, you'll add your own block, and starting to contemplate what to do with your life, as well as how to react to the world. I found it so captivating. I don't know. I struggle a lot with what I'm doing. Does anything I do matter? You know, online, offline. Like, it was something I weirdly needed and had no outlet for it until this moment. Maybe it's because I also loved The Dark Tower growing up as a kid, but it reminded me of The Dark Tower. Literally, as they're talking about how the tower connects to all these things. And I guess my biggest thing is I wish there was more after that revelation. It felt like it stopped being about the boy and the Heron. Again, they changed the title. It became very quickly apparent that it was about creating an animation, the building blocks. They need to move every 13 days. You know, what will you contribute? You see visuals of like, you know, adding a new shape to it, and like it can form more stability. You can create a world without malice if you want to. And it starts to become not only a question of what you're going to do and legacy and mortality, it also becomes a conversation about escapism and creating, viewing your own creation as a cynical, malicious take on the world. And did it serve a purpose to vent your frustrations at things that are wrong with the world in your work? It was an interesting look at the creative process while also being accessible, I feel like, to more than just creatives. You know, what do you do? Do you start your own business? Do you become a part of the machine? You know, what's the reason why you chose your path? The justifications you had for the things you did and didn't do, and how it amounts to the building blocks of your life. While yes, it is a direct allegory for Miyazaki stepping away, I think it's also very easy to apply that to things outside of a creative focus. And I absolutely loved that. I love it so much, and it definitely bumps up against my brain and my personality type, and not knowing is part of the story. It's part of the message. Oh my God. I feel like that uncertainty is so realistic that it like cuts off the escapism of it, so you can start to look at the meta context, start to feel the lackluster ending as there is no successor to carry it on. It's this really interesting blend of accepting and respecting Mahito's decision to not become the legacy, while also simultaneously addressing the heartbreak of that decision and stepping away. It accepts, it approves, and it grieves. I just wish more of the characters communicated with each other. I felt like Mahito spoke to his mother knowing that that was his mother from the past very quickly. The stepmother's story and resolve, like, I just wanted a little bit more from those moments from the characters as we left. But I also think that's the point. The story stops pretty abruptly because there's no one to make more stories anymore. The universe is done. The creator is done. And I think you're kind of meant to struggle and grapple with that with the film. This is the moment where someone else would have picked up for Miyazaki. It was just so interesting. Like my thoughts are all over the place. Like for a while I was like, oh, this is like anime Dante's Inferno. Like we're going through all these different layers of the afterlife once we go through the gateway into the portal, losing agency at times when the pelicans push Mahito through a gate, but then other times he makes the choice, holding the door handle, and he can let go and be with his father, or he can re-enter the door and continue to look for his stepmother. Seeing those definitive crossroads mixed with the smaller decisions, like attacking the heron, helping the heron heal by plugging up the hole that he cut in his beak. It balances nicely with the comedy there, while also seeing both characters make decisions, good and bad. Seeing the heron deceive him, but then also realizing that the heron was telling the truth. It's so grounded and human and realistic to the point where it's almost a fault, and it's just left so up in the air that it leaves you with that existentialism that I think the movie wants you to feel. It's just hard to grapple with. So I understand the yucky taste in people's mouths, but that doesn't make it subjectively bad. I think it almost wants to illustrate through its story of escapism and being in the woods too long, being lost in the magic, gone for a year. The world continues without you. People searched for Mahito's mother when she vanished for a year. The world moves on while you're in that escape. Whether it is to create the world or to be engulfed in it, there was still a consequence to that action. Again, I don't know how to describe it other than just anime Dante's Inferno, but it was like layers of the afterlife. We meet a ferryman of sorts who's also a relative that lives in the house with Mahito. They bond over relating to each other's scars, something that I found really interesting, especially when the dad said, I give you permission to grow your hair and cover it up. Very moving and very emotional to see an adult turn to a child and I relate to your scar. I have one too. Breathtaking. And seeing the highlights of someone's shortcomings and seeing all the tension build up in the stepmom when he finds her in, like, it was like a birthing room, I think, like it was like a hospital bed. She's yelling at him. She's screaming at him. They're saying things they don't mean to each other. He's trying to be there. He's trying to be there. He's hurt. He's confused. He's pushed away. It's now his turn to feel the distance and choose to extend a bridge or create a connection, building a relationship, building a trust, and learning about life and death. The evolution of the Mononoke spirits, the cute little squishy soul boys, like the odds of life even happening, taking a time to look at that with the pelicans eating the cute little squishy soul boys. They're so stinking cute. Their souls becoming people and seeing how few of them made it. Like, you are lucky to be alive, and yet that doesn't take away from the validity of your trauma. I loved exploring that, and I also loved subverting the concept of a pained person makes great art. If anything, I felt like it was saying, am I too cynical? Am I too damaged? Questioning if you built a world of peace or a world of malice. Despite other people's, respect and the honor and the reverence and the disrespect towards the creator, towards Mark Hamill's character, he still felt like he created a cynical world out of his malice and cynicism. And then that recontextualized every previous Studio Ghibli movie. Rewatching my previous video and the messages that are almost always there about wanting to stop harming each other and stop harming the planet, how we are the source of our own destruction. You can now see how instead of this beautiful cry for unity, equality, and peace, it's also the cynical take of this is always what happens. Suddenly it took this whole new spin on all these movies and even a spin on my own take on it. There's a validity in what's happened and also a hope for something better, also a denouncement of perfection. Mark Hamill sees Mahito as a person freed of malice, and he tells him that that's not true. I love that reflection and how we get there. The bumpy road, the stop and go relationship with the Heron, the closed offness and acceptance of the magic in the world, the cute little squishy boys, the Totoro-eyed parakeet army, the fire girl being Mahito's late mother as a child. Again, wonderful use of multiverse and time travel, in my opinion. Wait, you're going back? You're going to die. Yep. That's how life works. I also get you. I loved it. I just wish we had some more time to feel it. It felt very fast at the end, but again, I think that's the point. When the building blocks break and Mark Hamill can no longer create anymore, the universe starts to crumble. Another amazing visual. And I think that's why the ending is so rushed and abrupt. This is the last of my animation. This is the last I can move the shapes. It feels rushed. It feels like a run-on sentence. It feels frantic, but then also trying to give that piece of letting it go. There's some things you can't control. I loved it. I still struggle with some moments. The comedy was really balanced for me, except for the bird poop kind of took me out. But again, that's real. Birds poop. Humans are flawed and birds pooped. Credits. Which, speaking of the credits, even that, it ends with the blue panel of the Ghibli logo from the start with just no Totoro drawing. That was even jarring. I feel like it was the most honest ending of a legacy, to the point where even if this isn't the last project Miyazaki ever touches, this is still the ending of those stories. It's a watch this last. Remember me this way. And again, an acceptance for the things he can't control. Acceptance for the times that maybe part of it is by his own choices. He stopped somebody from wanting to or becoming a successor. Learning to let go and having that last message not be, pity me, you all let me down, but make the world a better place. And I hope I did something to contribute to that. I loved that moment of letting go, of taking a step back. You know, as frustrating as it is in the moment to go, no more, my story, my narrative, I honestly found it very breathtaking. I'd love to do a deep dive video when I have the ability to watch it at home, pause, rewind, reflect on things more. So let me know if you want that in the future. So yeah, there you guys go. Those are some of my thoughts on The Boy and the Heron, or Why Do You Live? I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts on my thoughts. Remember to like the video, subscribe, ring the bell, check the settings, set them to all blah 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 YouTube words. Again, my gaming channel, my merch store, and my Thank Miss fundraiser links are all in the description, as well as a card for mental health crisis lines, Trevor Project resources, things like that. Should you or someone you know need them. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for those who are being supportive. Thank you for watching this far, if you did. I hope to see you next time I upload or go live. I hope everyone's staying safe. Grab a mask if you're heading out. Be mindful of others. And remember to take care of yourselves, please.